is going.
Yeah.
We have a powered point.
Fantastic. Do I have... Yep, that's the right thing.
All right, that was much smoother than last time.
Yeah, we're getting good at this, finally.
Yes.
150 episodes.
And all it took us was like half an hour beforehand of complaining about city skylines and trying to understand 1920s racial categorization.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're really doing terrific here.
To try and work out why white people are called Caucasian.
Yes. It's because apparently we are all whatchamacallit?
Armenians. We're all Armenians.
We're all Armenians because we all descend from Noah's Ark, which landed at Mount Ararat, which if you're Armenian is in Armenia, and if you're Turkish, go fuck yourself.
We're gonna get so many angry letters from Reinhold Messner, our biggest Turkish fan.
Yeah, I apologize.
No, he doesn't.
No, you don't. No, you don't. And listen, I have to keep Armenia on side because Armenia is where all the broke trans women go for facial feminization surgery. So let me just say now, victims of historical Azerbaijani aggression and Turkish genocide. Ararat is in Armenia. Please give me the facial feminization surgery. I need it badly.
Yeah, and I just want to retract every time I've said "well done, Baku." All right. Hello, and welcome to Well, There's Your Problem. It's a podcast about engineering disasters with slides. I'm Justin Rosniak. I'm the person who's talking right now. My pronouns are he and him. Okay, go.
I am Alice Caldwell-Kelly. I'm the person who's talking now. I am proudly Armenian. My pronouns are she and her. Yay, Liam.
Yay, Liam. Hi, I'm Liam McAnderson, debuting the new last name because I got married.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations on getting married.
Yes, and I'm here. I'm just going to butt right in because I got married. I'm using my privileges to tell you. So I am employed by a place called Lutheran Settlement House, which works with the homeless, which works with victims of domestic violence, which works with seniors who kind of have nowhere else to go or just want to be part of a community. And we are desperately short on Christmas presents for our families. I am asking you to donate at either LutheranSettlement.org. You can mail packages to Lutheran Settlement House. Please put Yay Liam in the description when you do that, because I could tell that my supervisor, Erica, was very happy and very confused to read Yay Liam because a bunch of you have already donated, for which I am very grateful.
Yeah, we'll flash all of that up on screen.
Yeah, thank you.
Our official line here is fuck Toys for Tots, fuck the U.S. Marines, donate to Liam.
Yeah,
that's right.
Great.
We're pro Liam, pro Armenia, anti Marine.
Yes.
That's actually pretty close to the thing, but yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. The kids will appreciate it. Thank you again.
Yes.
Now on to the disaster.
Now, what you see here on the screen is Figure 4, reconstruction of fuselage and tail unit wreckage, G-ALYP.
That's good, right?
G is a British plane. I'm feeling patriotic already.
You should probably stop that.
Yeah.
I think bad things happen when Brits feel patriotic.
Well, like this.
Yeah.
Like what's happened to poor Golf Alpha Lima Yankee Papa here.
This was de Havilland Comet.
Oh.
It's not supposed to look like that.
Oh, bummer.
Been looking forward to this episode for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Today we're going to talk about the de Havilland Comet, the first jet airliner.
And all the good things that happened to it.
Study in British excellence.
All I can say is, once they fixed the bugs, it was not that bad of a plane.
So the F-35 of airliners.
Yes. But first we have to do the goddamn news.
Yeah, that's me. I got married.
You got married.
Yeah, Liam got married.
Congratulations to both of you. Congratulations again on scoticizing your last name.
Yes.
What does it feel like to be a son of Alba now?
Oh, it feels pretty good. My old last name was actually a double barrel last name because I'm fancy like that.
Mm.
And it's actually
you got to
just
be
my-
fancy to have one of those.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm well known for being a fancy boy. I fancily pack tins of dip in my mouth.
You get the like chairman's reserve dip,
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, listeners, those of you who came, friends of the show. We spent way too much money at the bar, and we ran them out of Brawler. So well done, everybody.
Yes.
I was very sorry to miss it. I would like to lie and say that I'm somewhere in this photo in the champagne cloud, but the confetti cloud. But...
You're here
Oh,
in
that's
spirit,
champagne.
sort of fading in.
Yeah, just like clumsily Photoshop me into this one, I guess.
Please. This is my favorite photo from the night. This is the last photo taken of the night.
It's really nice. You're a good photographer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna forget her last name. Palatucci. Excellent work. Excellent photography. Really nice lady. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm happy to be married. I'm happy that Corinne has bet half her shit that she'll love me forever.
Once again, another one of your favorite podcasters progresses towards adulthood and sort of life milestones,
Yes.
Kind of rumbling towards it. Yeah.
Please don't like feel in any way insecure about your parasocial attachment in the course of this, because the podcast, the state of the podcast remains strong.
Yes.
Yes. And Roz is not married, so ladies, start lining up.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah. The last bachelor member of Well, There's Your Problem.
Most eligible podcaster.
Oh yeah. Well, you're the only one. You're the only one, really.
Yeah.
The most normal man among us.
Extremely normal. Yes. Congratulations to Liam and Corinne for getting married. Yes.
Corinne is lovely. I hope you have like 10 billion years of happiness.
Yes.
All sustained by our beloved hogs.
Yes.
Who pay the bills.
Yeah.
10 billion years of hogs.
That's right.
Yeah. Thanks, folks. We're gonna get the bonus out. That's one of the reasons for the delay of the bonus for November.
I think it's fair to
It's a
be like,
minor,
I know,
little tiny life event,
giving myself an excuse, but to be like, yeah, I think it's fine to take a couple of weeks when you get married.
Yeah, don't worry. There will be a December bonus in which I say unspeakable things about our listeners. Real cruel stuff.
Oh yeah, this is the abuse episode.
Yeah, and unless we like run out the clock on the timing and we're not able to record it, in which case, Justin, you have to get married like urgently.
Yeah,
so we have an
crap.
excuse to postpone the December bonus.
Don't worry, I know someone who'll marry Roz. It's fine.
Okay.
That person is me. I'll have to get a divorce.
Wow.
Already, like, not even married for a month and already a bigamist.
Well, that could be.
I talked to Roz once about like getting married for tax reasons.
Anytime I hear about the like you two living together,
that was health insurance reasons, not tax reasons.
It was health insurance reasons. Yeah. Well, it's fine. It's fine. That was our.
No, it's.
I didn't think it was that necessary.
We figured it out, but that was right up there with our plans to buy a Victorian in West Philly.
Oh, I'm still going to do that.
I know. I gotta be an investor in that so I can have the Liam room.
Oh yeah,
which is just also the map room, but
oh yeah, the war room.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Give me a share of that so I can get a US visa and not have to worry so much about getting penis detected at the airport.
We could probably forge you a visa.
Yeah, the odds of getting penis detected at the airport going up catastrophically as you say this. Also, all the times I say anything about Hamas.
Yeah. Speaking of Hamas, good news, everyone. According to the U.S. House of Representatives, we're all anti-Semites now.
Oh, are
incredible!
We? How do we do that?
They ruled this that anti-Zionism was anti-Semitism. Apparently,
I'm Jewish, and no, it's not.
And I mean, if you go back and look at like any early, or for that matter, current Zionist writing that seems to be insanely anti-Semitic, like Theodor Herzl talking about like Ostjuden, no, it didn't. It didn't say that. And you're anti-Semitic.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this has just declared every Jewish person under like 35 to be an anti-Semite?
I will say there's an article I read about the sort of generational gap in American Jews about Israel, and my mother's worst opinion used to be, she was not a staunch Zionist, but she was like, kind of like, she spent some time on a kibbutz in the 70s and was like, yeah, it's sort of both sides. Sorry to call you out, Mom. When you've lost my when you've lost my mother, and she's just like, what they're like, no, that's fucked up and wrong. When you've lost my mother, you are doing something wrong.
Yeah, and I think it's like a process of doing things wrong less and less subtly for decades until
no one come after my mother. She knows more and is better than you.
Just kind of like rubbing the world's face in it,
Yeah, exactly.
Look at the cruelty we're doing. You can't stop us. Nana, nana, nana.
Yeah, our biggest, wettest senator, John Fetterman.
Oh my God! At least we knew that Pat Toomey was a chud.
I think, share some responsibility for this because
I feel embarrassed, obviously, and pretty ashamed that that's what he's doing.
I was not expecting him to be the breakout character in the pro-Israel lobby. I just thought it was funny to have a big guy as senator.
Yeah, the big guy who violates the dress code is a lot less fun, it turns out, when he's virulently pro-genocide.
Yes.
He also just said something stupid about the border as we went to air.
Fantastic. And this guy's got a job for life, although, given the state of his health, we can have some hopes on that score.
I don't know. I wonder what happens the next primary. I mean, that's like what, still 4 years off.
Yeah.
He could still get knocked off.
Dr. Oz.
Dr. Oz. Yeah. Well, I would hope that he would get primaried and not, wind up, we give the seat to what's his face from Central Pennsylvania.
Scott
the Republican guy. Mastriano, that's the guy.
Yeah, one of the many idiots from Central Pennsylvania that I hate.
Name sounds like a deli meat. You got to give it to some like very slick, like social media forward, like DSA person,
Yeah. Liam, you should run for senator.
Yeah, you got married. You're a family man. You're respectable now. It's time.
30, right? I can do it, right? Yeah. I'm 32. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, hell yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's your Senate run.
Right after, we're gonna run for Senate as a unit.
Yeah,
it's the Liam Ross Alice three-headed monster senatorial campaign.
Oh yeah, it's like and It's Always Sunny when they get the mailroom job. Yeah.
I do appreciate that. Speaking of, someone tweeted about giving to Lutheran Settlement House. And I do want to say, having to explain to my boss what the hell yay Liam meant was the highlight of my day. They were like, why does it say this? And I was like, I've been bullying people on Twitter all morning.
Yeah, you're like, I operate a kind of like years-long cult.
Yes. I guess is the best way to explain that. It's like the email we got from Lilith Fund when we steered a bunch of people towards there in the wake of Texas's hideous abortion ban. And we got a personal email from like the one of the directors of Lilith Fund. And I was just like, I love that we helped people get medically necessary care, and also like they got medically necessary care through dick jokes. It's like, we'll fund your abortion, but it's gonna get kind of weird.
Yes.
Yeah. So the one thing we should say, just because we got to mention it every episode until the horrors stop, the situation in Palestine is still very, very bad.
Getting worse every day.
Go to protests. Go yell at your senator.
Extremely cool stuff. Yes, extremely cool and legal.
Go follow your conscience.
Exactly.
You gotta, the eyes of the world are upon you. Time to do some shit.
Yeah.
Perfectly legal shit. You don't have to censor that, Devin. Perfectly legal and cool. Just make sure your elected official has a nice time. Maybe that.
Yes. Remain
First
mad.
bleep of the episode. Yeah.
Remain mad. Remain vigilant. Remain active. You know what will help you remain active and vigilant is our next news item.
Oh boy. What is this?
Fuck yes. Fuck yes. America is the greatest country in the history of the world. It makes up for the genocide. It makes up for the genocide by the fact that it also invented the lemonade that kills you instantly.
Yeah, but all these people already had heart conditions. That's the thing, because this comes up every few years, where it's like, oh, he died because he drank 9 Red Bulls, and oh, by the way, he had a pre-existing heart condition.
Panera Bread has invented a lemonade.
I will never let you get through news. It's good. They taste good.
How many of these did you have before coming on, Liam?
How many what?
How many of the lemonade that kills you instantly did you have?
I have drank 3 C4 Performance Energies just today. I feel terrific.
Here I am starting the day off with a half decaf coffee.
That's because you're a fucking old pussy, and I am young and whatever.
So Panera Bread has come out with this basically energy drink lemonade, which apparently is not adequately labeled as such.
Oh, it's so caffeinated, dude.
It's like 300 milligrams of caffeine or something. Yeah. Yeah, it's fucking delicious. It's so good.
There is an employee in the back with a mortar and pestle grinding up caffeine tablets.
I used to do that. And then Roz was like, you have to stop. You can't put caffeine in the Everclear punch. Which I thought was ridiculous.
I told you, you got to be careful with that stuff. The LD50 is surprisingly low.
The large,
as many people have found out, because
2 people.
Okay, but 2 people have been like compromised to a permanent end. Have had their asses clapped by St. Peter for drinking the Panera Bread lemonade. And yeah.
So the regular contains 260 milligrams of caffeine, which is approximately 3 8.4 ounce Red Bulls. And the large is 390, which is approximately 5 8.4 ounce Red Bulls.
Jesus Christ.
You're drinking a 40 of Red Bull, basically.
So drink one of these, go to space. Drink more than one of these, die, is the conclusion.
That's a lot of caffeine.
I hate to be corporatist here, but Panera, hit me up in the DMs.
You will endorse the lemonade that kills you instantly? Just comes with a big Liam face on it, giving you a thumbs up?
I'm taking a brave stance, yes. I support, listen, I think it's tasty. I had one of them in Alabama, and I could have driven for miles.
I think the thing is, right, that America is at its best when it lets you do things as an individual that you really shouldn't. And Americans are at their best when they forget that they have to pay for their healthcare. Yep. So this situation here, it's like the £1 burrito, right? It's like, it shouldn't exist. It's an affront that it exists.
£1 is not that big.
That's not a big burrito, yeah.
Okay, fine. Like £10 burrito.
Oh, you're talking about the toddler from Rob Burritos in New York. Yeah,
£100 burrito, whatever.
You're talking about the toddler. Yeah, you can come to PA and we'll get you one, Alice.
We're all going to go to Rob Burritos in York, Pennsylvania.
And we're all going to get toddlers. It's called that because it's the size of a toddler.
I'm hearing America the Beautiful in the back of my head right now. This is incredible. And many happy returns to Panera Bread.
Yes.
They're gonna ban this. Like, someone who has no fun is gonna ban this, I'm sure.
It's weird that it comes from Panera Bread, which I usually find to be a lackluster experience.
Oh yeah, they've gotten worse. Sorry, I had to stand up and take off my belt because I'm fat and old.
I thought you were young and vivacious.
I was young and vivacious 5 minutes ago, but now the age has set in.
Yeah, the Panera Bread lemonade's worn off.
Yeah, I'm taking big gulps of the C4 Starburst Strawberry.
Jesus Christ,
it's so good. I feel terrific.
I get nervous when I have too much caffeine, and too much is not a lot. So this is a fun way to poison me.
I drink a lot of caffeine.
This is why I drink water.
I drink water.
I seem to have randomly rebuilt up my caffeine tolerance, which is nice. I've been drinking coffee this whole week, and nothing bad has happened so far.
Get the shakes, that's good. I'm glad.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I get the shakes so bad, dude. From like anything.
Well, it's also because I got the half caffeine coffee as opposed to the full caffeine coffee.
That's because you're a gigantic fucking pussy, but that's okay.
I'm over here with decaf, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
tea.
I'm more merciful to you than I am to him.
I know. I know this. I know I'm your favorite.
I just want to have a drink that's not water that Milkshake won't drink.
All right, time to start drinking just straight liquor.
Yeah.
that'll learn you.
Yeah. But yeah, so
don't drink the Panera lemonade if you have a heart condition. Don't drink the Panera lemonade at all.
If you value your life.
Don't go to Panera. It's not that good. There's other places that are like, I mean, what do they even have at Panera?
Soup.
They have soup. They have
sandwiches.
I had a bacon, egg, and cheese there once at the Panera in Pittsburgh, and the problem is it's not structured in a way where, they give you a runny egg, which I like, but it's structured in such a way that runny egg will explode in your face.
Was that the one where I threw up on the side of the road? Was that
yes.
trip? Okay.
That was that trip. Yeah.
So my food court pick here, if we're doing that, is probably a Subway. And the thing about Subway is I will get a meatball marinara. If that's not pork, I forget whether it is or not. I get the meatless one. And then what I do is I spend the rest of the day, I like book out the day. I'm like, I will get Subway in the morning. I will spend the rest of the day shitting and feeling bad.
Sure.
And it's still kind of worth it as an experience. So same with Jollibee.
Yeah, I don't know what my go-to like fast casual is, if we're using that as a category. Ross, what's yours?
What is my go-to fast casual? I mean, I'm just not in the situation where I go there very often. I do like Chipotle. Either. I like Chipotle, but the thing about Chipotle is it seems to, like everything else, it's gone down in quality. I mean, there's sort of a death spiral, it seems like right now. Yeah. All the ingredients are getting. Last time I went to Chipotle, it was when I bought the suit for the wedding, right? And, after I was at Joseph A. Banks, I went upstairs, I got the burrito, free up storage space. Oh, my God. Hold on.
How? What have you been torrenting?
We discussed that earlier.
Oh God! Oh no, that's
not willingly. Not willingly. As a result of unvetted City Skylines mods.
You're a fucking disaster. Not even a regular fucking disaster. A fucking disaster. I have had so much caffeine. I feel great.
Recycled bin. Come on. Can I do this in time?
Wept, bud.
Yes. I don't know what I just deleted.
Can I complete Halo before the rubber bands crush my TV? Except it's can I empty my recycle bin before the recording I'm doing takes up that space?
Yeah.
I am so okay. All right. So Roz, after this episode is over, message me or text me and tell me a time that I can come over next week. And I'm going to install all the hard drives that I've given you. And then after that, I'm going to beat you to death with them.
What you should do is when you're installing those hard drives, remember to don't mount them on anything. Just leave them at like an angle in the case.
That's it. I know. I'm out. Have a good
It's fine. You can just quit because now you can like spend time with your wife, which is much healthier an activity than doing this.
Yes.
It is very funny that my wedding was largely paid for in patron dollars. So thanks, folks.
Have you done a Borat voice, my wife, since?
Yeah. Because like the first few months of marriage, in my experience, are not getting over the fact that you are a husband or wife, and so is your husband or wife, and so just using those words a lot because of novelty.
You got about 6 months where you can say that at any time for no reason.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. No, thank you. I've done a little bit of that just because like it's very fun to be irritating because again she bet half her shit that she'll love me forever. So I am all in on just being as annoying as possible.
In summary, if you have a heart condition, don't buy the Panera Bread lemonade that kills you instantly. Now that we're 25 minutes in, that was the goddamn news.
God bless whichever one of you puts chapters on the videos sometimes. You do an essential piece of work for the podcast that we never, ever think about doing ourselves.
So, here is an image of a metal plate with a crack. You notice this crack is big, but this crack with 2 holes is smaller.
I do notice that. I like the illustration style. Very 70s kind of.
Yeah.
And so this is from the Handbook of Damage Control, Maritime Damage Control.
Oh, wow.
Published by the U.S. Navy in 1945. This is figure 34-20. Holes may be drilled at the ends of a crack and then plugged to stop crack extension.
Oh, yes. Fucking talk dirty to me, baby.
And so this is sort of one of these things that was known about since like the days of the ironclads, that if you had a crack, you could drill a hole at each end of the crack and it would at least temporarily stop it from getting bigger, right?
Huh.
And this is sort of, for a long time, was almost a piece of folk knowledge. You could halt cracks temporarily by drilling a hole in them. The state of the science of materials didn't really explain this well.
Back in the day when you're like, we can build sort of like the, B-25 bomber. No idea how any of the stuff in it works. Just full Adeptus Mechanicus shit.
Yeah, or like the Monitor and the Merrimack, it's one of these things where, it works sometimes, sort of like diluvial geology, right? Where you managed to find minerals based on how you expected Noah's flood to have occurred.
Because there were enough minerals around at the time that you could just fucking Minecraft that shit and just dig.
It's sort of approximated glaciation is the other thing.
Huh.
It kind of worked. It usually didn't, but sometimes it did. But this particular handbook is from 1945, right? We had big warships, big locomotives, big long cars, and airplanes, right? Today we'd talk about sort of, this is being an example of reducing something called a stress concentration. But we didn't really have the mathematics to describe that yet.
Yeah, stress concentration is what you have when you're trying to get through the news and then Liam and I are interrupting you.
Yes.
You deserve to suffer.
Yeah, so,
if we drill a hole in you, then
maybe that's actually that's called
trepanation. If we trepan you, then you will not be as stressed about the news.
Right?
I've heard that's had some good results.
All right, well,
drill, drill. Let's do this.
That's way better than a lobotomy.
Yeah. I mean, few of the podcasters who kept going after one of those.
But this is like one of those things that worked but wasn't fully understood, right? Until we had like finite element analysis, which is sort of in its infancy in the 1940s. It existed, but we sure as hell didn't have the computers to make it worthwhile. Doing that shit out by hand, terrible. They made the mechanical engineers do that. I was a civil engineer. I all I could do is point and laugh at them. Now, our second subject here is in the early part of the 20th century.
Wow.
Flying.
Oh, that's beautiful. That flying boat.
Big
like
fucking flying boat.
The British flying boats that we had from like Short and I want to say Saunders Row were incredible looking throughout like the whole history.
This is Saunders Row SR-45 Princess. This is the largest metal flying boat.
It's beautiful.
Yes. Very, very big. But the thing about flying is it was not very good for a while, right? Really up until the late 50s. Even if you were rich. You're going at relatively slow speeds, 200 or 300 miles per hour at best. You get all these stops to refuel in like Newfoundland or Iceland or Anchorage or Karachi or
Shannon,
or like where else? I mean, you're in
all of the Indiana Jones shit where you're like dots on the map.
Exactly.
I love those sequences.
Yeah, it has a certain romance when you're not like in the plane.
Doing it right.
Yeah, but like an 8-hour flight today would take 2 days. You have these very loud propeller planes. They're flying at low altitudes. They got more drag and slower speeds, right? There's some airliners that are starting to show up, like the Lockheed Constellation. They can fly higher. They have some of the earliest pressurized cabins, but this was not like normal. And then
war is very good for technology. You adapt bombers for this, and if bombers are flying higher to avoid anti-aircraft artillery and then sort of like very early missiles, and you start pressurizing cabins, then you go, hey, we can fit a bunch of salarymen in there, and they did.
Yeah. Flying is, it's annoying, it's slow, and we're at a point where, as opposed to today, where it's annoying and at least fast sometimes.
Yeah, if you don't have a guy, I hated this dude so fucking much. I saw TikTok today, and on the TikTok, I saw a man smuggle in instant mashed potatoes and raw shrimp and a 6-volt battery.
Death by firing squad.
And then he cooked himself shrimp and mashed potatoes in an airplane bathroom sink.
Firing squad is too dignified by that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to take that man. If the Federal Air Marshal Service is good for anything, they got to follow that guy home from the airport. Like, that is the only man who should be in the Louisiana State Correction System.
That water's not potable either.
No, it's gray water.
It's gray water.
Like,
I was gonna say.
And plus, like, okay,
I don't
maybe
think it's technically gray water, but it's not potable water.
Yeah, there's like fucking shit in there. Plus, they clean the bathrooms, but not after like every person uses it. So like, if the guy in front of you has just come out from like, an hour-long, like, heinous diarrhea experience, washed his hands in the sink, and then you go in right after to cook your shrimp, you too will have a heinous diarrhea experience.
Well, there's your problem. Top tip: don't make your own meal in the airplane bathroom.
Fuck you.
Unless you're on a certain Japan Airlines flight, in which case you might come out ahead.
Yeah. I actually do have a top tip though, which is don't drink tea or coffee on an airliner. Get a bottle of water, and maybe even like don't wash your hands in the bathroom. Get an alcohol wipe or hand sanitizer. Get them off the cabin crew. They have extras. They have tons for exactly this reason, because that water is fucking gross. And as much as like the FAA put in standards for like the cleanliness of the water tanks on airliners like 10 years ago, and those standards are not good.
Yeah. And so back to old airliners here. Flying was pretty annoying back then, although the food was better. They had a proper galley as opposed to a bathroom where you make your shrimp and mashed potatoes.
Room in here, you know?
Yeah. But you're still having trouble competing with like fast streamlined trains or like fast ocean liners, just because everything is, it's still pretty slow. So we also have to talk about the de Havilland company.
Yeah, this one's cool.
Hey, we won the war with wood. You like that? You like that?
Yeah, wood and wood glue. I mean, these are some of my favorite aircraft of World War II. Because if you grow up in Britain, you've got to have a favorite British aircraft of World War II. And if you say Avro Lancaster, you're a war criminal. If you say Spitfire, you're unimaginative. If you say Hurricane, you're a tryhard. And if you say Mosquito, then you're serious.
Oh man, I guess I'd be a decent war criminal.
It looks really good. The Avro Lancaster does. In fairness, at some point we're gonna have to do the mysterious disappearances of that BSAA like Lancastrian, which is the airliner conversion of a Lancaster.
Fucking what now?
We'll get to that. But the Mosquito, it's great. It's fantastic. It's so fast. It's so maneuverable.
We won the war and the Germans lost. And
you could do like really like precision bombing with this stuff because it's like low and you fly low and fast. And we bombed one wall of a like Nazi prison to like facilitate the escape of French resistance prisoners, and it sort of worked. Is how good this thing was.
So this company was founded by Jeff.
The Albatross now, and it's just like, God, this thing it looks like a turd. I love it. Yeah, go ahead, Rod. Sorry.
This thing was founded by Jeffrey de Havilland in 1920 in Edgware, later moved to Hatfield, both of them in England, right?
Oh, not Hatfield, Pennsylvania.
No. They made biplanes for a while, but they really took off because it's an airplane company. They took off. Yeah.
I have had too much caffeine.
In World War II, right? They make their planes out of wood. So shown here is the DH-98 Mosquito that everyone's been, raving for here. Yeah. And this was sort of a multi-role aircraft, like the F-35, but unlike the F-35, it worked, right?
I like to see this thing fly upside down in the rain.
It's a fighter bomber. It does photo reconnaissance. It can zip in and out of place. It can do a whole bunch of shit, right?
Yeah, it's fantastic. We made an early fighter jet off of this airframe, the Vampire, which is again fantastic name. And yeah, for a while
they don't name them like they used to. Man.
No, truly. But there was a period in British aeronautical history where we were combining like wood glue and jet engines.
Hell yeah.
We'll get to that.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, but making this shit out of wood, specifically balsa wood, I mean, it's surprisingly strong in a lot of ways that matter.
This is my model airplane. This is my real airplane.
It's really light.
It's fine if you don't step on it in the wrong place.
Yeah. So long as you don't step on it in the wrong place or set it on fire, it's actually remarkably resilient because you can shoot holes straight through it because cannon rounds are designed to destroy steel, like structural steel, and instead or aluminium, and instead they just like go straight through because it's too light.
Yeah, I mean, balsa wood surprisingly good. It's a good type of wood. It's good for anything that needs to be lightweight. You think about it. Sometimes maybe you did some some kind of like model railroad project and a long time ago, and it's like, it's some crappy wood. No, it's actually really good for like these big structural applications. But again, don't step on it in the wrong place. It's sort of like thin shell concrete in that way.
Sounds like from experience, Hotshot.
So in high school, when I was rowing, we had a few balsa wood boats, and there were very, very clearly marked areas where you could step. I mean, it was the same with the fiberglass boats, but the balsa wood boats, you had no margin for error. Your foot would go through.
You really gotta take those no step decals seriously, you know?
Yes. So we also have to talk about the turbojet. Development of the jet engine, right? So your jet engine is simple in principle, right? The air goes in, the fuel goes in, you ignite it somehow, it goes boom, thrust comes out the other end.
Yeah, it's suck, squeeze, bang, blow.
No, that is a 4-stroke piston engine.
Close enough, same principle.
Yeah, whatever.
Here, the suck, the squeeze, and the bang and the blow happen simultaneously.
Just like I like it, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, I like to be confused while I'm doing the nasty.
So there's a really
not
really
the sensory deprivation way either. Just like
it's a really simple type of jet engine called the pulse jet. That was one of the earliest ones, which is basically you have a combustion chamber, and air goes in. There's a spark plug. You add fuel. It goes boom. It goes at the other end. Sometimes there's a valve body here that lets air in only one way. Sometimes you have clever geometries so that the air only comes in, so on and so forth. These pulse jets are very simple. They were viable by like the 1910s. And so they're very loud and very fuel hungry, though, right? This makes them not very good for aviation. In terms of like mass applications for aviation, the Germans put them on the V-1 flying bomb, but that was about it. Because those only have to go one way.
Yeah, and you need some. It's a disposable thing.
Yeah, something had to be done to make the jet engine more efficient for it to be good for aircraft. And that's increasing the compression ratio, which means you can use less fuel for the same amount of thrust. So this RAF cadet named Frank Whittle comes up with the idea of the turbojet.
Classic British guy is Frank Whittle.
Yeah.
Just you nerds. This is the thing. There used to be a space.
We used to be a proper country
for nerds, and now we privatize those nerds. And instead of staying in the military, the nerds work for Lockheed Martin or whatever.
They make.
We used to have boffins in this country.
Yeah, exactly.
Proper boffins. Yeah.
Yeah, people wearing white coats and taking notes on a clipboard. Don't have that anymore.
Working for IBM, doing all sorts of unspeakable war crimes. Yeah.
So the idea of the turbojet is, all right, we have a big compressor at the front of the jet engine, right? Compressor. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It compresses the air before it's combusted in the combustion chamber. Right? And so the exhaust from that and the thrust then turns a turbine in the back, and that turbine turns the compressor.
I kind of like that as a species we haven't gotten past like spin thing hard.
Spin turbine.
Spin thing. Yeah, spin thing works very good in many contexts. Because linear thing is much more difficult.
Right.
And it feeds itself, sort of. As long as you have airflow through the engine and fuel.
Once you get the thing started, it keeps going. In fact, the prototype that Whittle came up with was so good at it that when they shut off the fuel, it kept going. Because it turned out there was a little bit of residual fuel that had leaked in before. They couldn't find it. Everyone had to leave the room because it spun out of control.
Hell yeah.
They thought it was going to blow up until it ran out of fuel properly.
The engine that works too well.
Yes. Accidentally created a perpetual motion machine. But the thing is, the British government wasn't interested, which led to the Germans developing the idea instead, which culminates in the Messerschmitt Me-262, which I figured the military nerds can talk about.
The Me-262 Schwalbe, yes, I had an Airfix model of it. It was surprisingly effective. A lot of the pilots went on to transition to the post-Nazi Luftwaffe and
post-Nazi in serious quotes here.
Yeah,
of course.
and fly starfighters.
What hormones do you need for that?
This is already going to be an all-timer.
I saw the thing that said some military nerd will talk about this, and I'm like, you have me on the podcast. We have worked together for a number of years.
Yeah, exactly. I was being oblique about it.
You don't need to be.
She knows more than I do. I'll fucking tell you that right now.
The real question facing aircraft manufacturers after the war was, can turbojets be adopted for passenger planes, right? The Me-262.
And it's a picture of it's just a picture of a fucking mosquito.
Yeah.
The Me-262 was absurdly fast, very high performance for the day, be a great advantage in a competitive transportation market. But
same problem as the F-104. It's an interceptor. It's designed to come up, meet these big American formations of bombers that are wiping Dresden off the map, shoot a couple of them down, and then land.
And then lose the war. Lose it.
Yes, also largely because it was like built with slave labor and so on and so forth.
Yeah, fuck you, Nazis.
Yeah, exactly.
Liam out here with a controversial opinion. Nazis bad.
Right. I'm breaking new ground, baby.
But yeah, obviously the sort of like airframe that is very good at like taking off quickly from like Dusseldorf or whatever and getting into a combat box of B-17s and then getting back down is not very good at getting you from New York to Los Angeles.
Yeah, and there's two big problems here, which is one, the fuel consumption, right? It's good for, going out, coming back real quick. So you got to work on that. But the other one is these things were very unreliable, and that's on account of the turbine back here, right, which is exposed to these very, very hot temperatures for a long period of time from the exhaust gases.
Melty turbine. I mean, we're sort of like cutting off Germany from all of its like strategic metals. You don't have shit in the way of like titanium or whatever, and you're again building it with slaves because you're a Nazi.
It's not even titanium at that point. It's just very, very high temperature steel is what you use for this. Sort of what they call the super alloys. But yeah, so these high temperatures accelerate something called creep, right? And creep
what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah, is when a material tends to deform slowly under mechanical stress, right? So, if you have, I don't know, let's say like a chain with a heavy weight on it and you leave it there for 5 years, it will get a little bit longer, right? Now, if you have a turbine blade that's spinning rapidly and you expose it to very high heat, those forces will cause it to lengthen and get thinner and eventually snap off.
Oh.
So these jet engines that the Nazis developed, because they're using conventional steel for them, a lot of times you had to replace the turbine blades like every 20 hours of service.
Oh, Nazi Germany, when will you develop a single piece of war material that doesn't require one extremely complicated part that has to be replaced and manufactured? It takes like 100 hours to manufacture. You have to replace it every 6 hours. There's one factory that makes it. It's getting bombed by the Allies every day.
You
know, get nothing like it.
Yeah.
The more you read about German engineering, the more you realize this is all a propaganda effort.
Yes, yeah. Oh shit, we over-engineered another thing in a way that's going to be very useful for the Allies to like slot into their production lines when the war ends.
Yeah.
Thanks, assholes.
Yeah, just kind of doing like the US and Russia, and to an extent the UK and France, like bigger and bigger favors as you're trying to fight them.
Yeah. So in order to make this thing practical for a commercial airliner, you'd need new high-temperature alloys. Now, there was something in Britain called the Brabazon Committee, right?
What now?
Back when guys used to have cool names, and back when Britain used to have a steel industry.
Yeah. So after the war ended, they decided, all right, in the interest of maintaining British Empire.
Failed. Fucked it, lads.
Didn't work. Yeah.
The Suez Crisis not turning out for you well, huh?
Yeah.
British aviation companies had to develop an airliner capable of crossing the Atlantic in one go with 1 ton of mail at 400 miles an hour.
Oh my God! They did the America bomber.
Basically, yes. Yeah.
The America bomber had to come back too.
Yeah, difficult to refuel the America bomber in New York. There were a lot of German-American Nazi sympathizers, but you can't land the plane there and have
not so much you can secure Teterboro and have it land there. You know? So 2 companies bit here. One was Vickers, which developed a large turboprop airliner called the Viscount.
Viscount.
The Viscount. Oh, I see. The turboprop is like, okay, you have the same turbine here, but rather than all of that creating exhaust thrust, you use the rotational force to drive a propeller.
Yeah, right? The Viscount looks goofy as hell, by the way.
Yeah.
So insulting that we're not even going to put a photo.
Not even putting a photo.
You imagine the horrors in your own. Yeah.
Viscount slander.
Yeah. But the other company, de Havilland, said, "How hard can it be?"
Yeah, and this is weird because you're transitioning from like sort of fighter bombers and like reconnaissance aircraft, and the Mosquito's quite small. The Vampire, its even cooler successor, the Venom, quite small, and you're going, okay, from that, I'm going to build like a full-size airliner.
What kind of hormones do you need for that?
The big ones.
I'm going to keep saying that. Anyway,
it's going to be funny every time.
It is actually pretty funny.
So they say, okay,
funny.
We're going to build a jet airliner, right? So this is one of the, I forget if this is the prototype or the first production, de Havilland Comet.
Oh, they scaled up the Mosquito and they stretched it. Like it's got the same nose, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, you got to build on stuff you did before, and there was like a lot of design process I did not put into the slides. I probably should have, but this was they were starting with trying to build something very small, and then as they developed the design, it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it got surprisingly the biggest design was the most practical one.
I like the bare metal, by the way. Very jet age. Huge fan of that.
So this is going to be the sleek modern aircraft for the jet age. It's going to have 4 powerful jet engines. They're buried in the wings as opposed to on pods like you have now.
Cool.
Yeah, this reduces drag. It has lots of speed, lots of range. It has these large picture windows so you can take in the scenery. Has a luxurious...
It's a point of competition with the Viscount, because one thing the Viscount does have is big windows.
Yeah. Has a luxurious cabin. It has a bar. And it has optional rocket attachments.
Yes.
For short takeoff and landing at high altitudes.
Yes. Fuck yes. Put this in TNO. I want to see these being used to rescue British hostages from Tehran landing in a stadium. All of the rocket assisted takeoff stuff fucking whips. We talked about that on the Starfighter episode a bit too. It's cool. It's objectively cool. Sorry.
I don't think they ever wound up using them because it turned out it had enough power to take off on its own. But you could get them if you wanted. So de Havilland was completely vertically integrated because we hadn't figured out all the weird financial tricks you can do with a lot of fake subsidiaries.
You didn't need to, because the British aircraft industry was like immediately post-war, which meant that we had like 5 or 6 of the fuckers like Supermarine and Avro that we didn't need, that we're gonna have to like find something to do like this. And which all, for like resilience's sake, all built everything in-house.
Yeah. So they build the fuselage, they build the wings, they build the landing gear, they build everything except the engines, which are from...
Please say Rolls-Royce right now.
Rolls-Royce.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, triumph of like post-war British engineering. Let's do it.
Yeah. Ignore the fact that it says Pratt and Whitney up here.
You deserve one.
Yeah.
Listen. Pratt and Whitney are for shit. Give me a Rolls-Royce any day of the week.
So this is the Rolls-Royce Avon, named for the River Avon.
Or the cosmetics company, the multi-level marketing scam.
This engine is still in production as a stationary turbine.
Fuck yeah, British equivalent to the Soyuz, you know? You do it once, you do it right, and if it still works, you keep making it.
Exactly. This is it. This is the pinnacle of British superiority in engineering.
That's right, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, this is the high watermark in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
After this, the decline.
Yeah, because you had the British steel industry was one of the greatest in the world. They had the ability to produce the super alloys, right? The high performance steels, which could resist creep for hundreds or thousands of hours, right? And this engine, this engine was what was going to make the de Havilland Comet possible, right? Each of these guys, they were originally designed to produce, I think, 6,500 pounds of force, but they were uprated gradually to 7,300 pounds and then later 10,000 pounds of force.
Wow.
They sipped fuel at a very low rate for the time because they had very high compression ratios. So this is the engine that was going to make Britain dominate aviation forever, right?
Yeah, we're gonna get in early on this like post-war consensus shit. We're gonna win the Cold War. Everybody's gonna be sipping tea.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, as evidenced by the fact that I had a bunch of coffee this morning, that did not happen.
Instead, we're all buying your blue jeans, and you're not listening to the Beatles, and drinking tea.
Yeah. So this was designed, tested, and brought into production in only 5 years, from 1945 to 1950.
Again, you look at the stuff in this country now, where it's like, can we do stuff? No. Not at all. Can we do it in 5 years, 10 years? No. I compare this to fucking HS2 or whatever, and yeah, okay, there's a difference in scale, but like, just philosophically, something has gone badly wrong.
Yes. Now, with that in mind, since I drank a bunch of coffee, talk amongst yourselves while I use the restroom.
God damn it, dude.
Of course.
Okay, well,
before we went to air.
I've just done one of my favorite things, which is go to Etsy and look for stuff that is made out of stuff. And I've found someone who has made a like games table, like for playing chess or backgammon or whatever, on out of the exhaust cone of a Rolls-Royce Avon.
That is pretty fucking sick.
The downside is that it costs £1,350, and there's one of them in existence.
All right, so here's the thing, right? Patrons, if you're listening to this, and if you're just listening to this, in your car on your commute. Alice, what's your PayPal?
It's paypal.me/avizandum. You can hit me up with this. So yeah, there's this one guy on Etsy. Name's Dapper Aviation, DAPPR. Makes stuff out of like old salvaged aviation stuff, which is probably like covered in benzene and horrible for you. And makes you die of, like,
gonna
every
melt.
cancer.
You're gonna melt.
But if you want like a coffee table that's made out of like a jet exhaust fan, or a desk that's made out of like the emergency exit door from a Sea King, this is your guy, right? And I am a sucker for this kind of stuff. So please send me all of the money that you have. I will use it for this, and I will have no regrets. I will drink my coffee on the coffee table that is giving me like benzene exposure.
And you deserve to have the things you want. Yes, exactly.
That's right. That's right. I mean, some of this stuff, there's like a bowl made out of the wheel bearing of an Airbus A330. Like,
that's crazy.
It's cool, but like so much of this stuff, there's repurposed stuff, because there's the military version of this that's like, oh, do you want a shot glass that's made out of like a 40mm like rifle grenade?
Yes, I do.
And the answer is yeah, of course I do. But I'm also slightly concerned about my like lead and explosives consumption. All right, well, I know what I'm getting you as a like a late wedding present is you're getting a set of 40mm shot glasses.
I'll take them. I'll use them every day, honestly.
Thank you. We've been doing like Sky Mall in sort of multiple senses.
Yeah, I also wanted to since we've gone to air, multiple people have tweeted about the things they've bought for the Lutheran Settlement House. I want to thank you again. We are going to make these people have a Merry Christmas whether they want to or not.
Went over to the bathroom and I looked at the window in there and I was like, oh my God, is there some kind of apocalyptic storm coming? No, it's just 5 o'clock. It's just that dark out now.
You can see through the
I live on a higher latitude than you. I live.
Yeah, but
on,
you do it voluntarily. That's fine.
I live in the same latitude as St. Petersburg, I think, or like any of the Canadian cities.
Yeah, you're much higher than the Canadian cities, actually.
Yeah.
Montreal's at the same latitude as Madrid, if I recall correctly.
Jesus. Canadians are pussies about the cold, then, I guess.
Oh, I don't. Your pussy's about the heat, so everybody relax.
Yeah, everyone's a pussy in their own way.
Yeah, I sure am.
Let's put that on the like quote page, you know.
Thanks to whoever edits our TV tropes, except for the one guy who was really mean about the stuff we got wrong in the
Reinhold Messner. Reinhold Messner is Zimbabwean.
Yeah. They were mad at us about the Bradley fighting vehicle.
Yeah, okay.
Listen, we never claimed to be a factual program like Top Gear.
This is for entertainment value only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, here we have a nice illustration and cutaway of the Havilland Comet. You can say we have this nice compartment here with tables. We have the main compartment, which has a whopping 36 passengers. There's a galley, which is quite large, especially by modern standards. Men's toilet, women's toilet, men's dressing room, women's dressing room.
They gendered the airliner.
Yes.
I mean,
what kind of hormones do you need for that?
It's like regressive, but it's kind of impressive that they had the space to do that, you know, and that they thought to do that. It's very, very weird to like look at this airliner and do the Pentagon thing of, this was actually designed with twice as many bathrooms as it needed to.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, it's it was very luxurious. Airliner was very much built in the old way of, we're you're gonna have a big seat and you're gonna relax for a while we take you through 35 different airports to do what would now be a nonstop flight.
A 6-hour flight.
Rows of like two either side. Also, beautiful, beautiful aircraft, but especially so with the like black cockpits around. I always think this. Anytime you give a plane the black cockpits around, I'm like, love this.
We gotta bring back the cheat stripe, I believe is what that's called.
Is that? I thought the cheat stripe was just down the side.
Well, it's cheat stripe. Okay, yeah. So I don't know what it's called in the front.
If you know what this is called, sound off in the comments.
Please write into the podcast.
Sorry, we got it wrong.
I want to make a little model of this. I want to get back.
Send us,
and also buy the kids gifts.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop plugging this one.
I'm gonna buy the kids like 500 Airfix de Havilland Comets. They're gonna be like
whatever you gotta
sticking like wings to each other and shit. They're gonna be like swallowing paint.
We're gonna give the kids a shitload of Testors model airplane glue.
Yeah. I also, if you're still listening, if you haven't turned this one off,
actually, that's a valid question. What's the like age range of toys that you want?
The age range is literally 0 to 18.
All right, well, de Havilland Comets it is. You're getting a pallet full of them.
You're getting a pallet of de Havilland
That's
Comets.
fine. You can also email rwalker, WALKER, at lshphilly.org if you want to buy gift cards. That's for the older kids, because no one knows what to get older kids. We do all right with younger kids.
De Havilland Comet model kit.
If anyone wants to buy the Havilland model Comet kit, some kid out there is going to have a very, very fucking Christmas.
See, this is the thing. Now I can't do it because what I've done is I've done the peas thing again. This is something that happened with Trash Future, where so the boys were in Weatherspoons, a chain pub, without me. And they were
I know this story.
Hey, we're at this table, and Weatherspoons did this thing where you're like, if you put in the table number, you can just order online, and you can do this remotely. And I thought, okay, you know what? You can just do this remotely. Everybody get them the single funniest thing on the menu, which is, as it turns out, like a bowl of peas. And so many people did this because I underestimated my own reach that the chef came out of the kitchen and got mad at them and like cut them off because they weren't going to make them 100 bowls of peas. So you got to work out amongst yourselves how many of you are sending de Havilland Comet model kits to Luther and Sullivan House, or diversify your model kits purchases a little bit.
We're going to single-handedly save the Revel Model Company. I don't know if they're in dire straits or anything, but it's kind of like, okay, we're going to buy, give me every de Havilland Comet you have.
I look forward to Luther and Sullivan House and the kids opening their various presents on Christmas. And every kid has to take one. I was giving out ice cream bars today because we had to change the shit that was in the freezer. And I'm like foisting cookie dough ice cream bars on people coming into the food pantry. And they're like, oh, yeah. And I was like, yeah, we have canned goods and we have produce and all that stuff. And also, I need you to take a pack of these ice cream bars. And people are just like, what? I'm like, I need you to take these.
Tomorrow, the food pantry will be full of de Havilland Comets.
Yeah.
Listen, I know this is leading to like a future in which I'm confronted with a photo of you surrounded by a bunch of like kids with a startling number of de Havilland Comet model kits. And I just I know what I'm doing, and I wish I could say I regret it, but I don't.
I also want to say the most important program we do, since we're just gonna go wildly off topic, is we do counseling for children who have witnessed domestic violence. And a bunch of you have bought stuff for the children's therapy program, and I'm gonna cry. Thank you.
It's really sweet. Now, you know what would cheer up any child in really dire circumstances is a model kit of a de Havilland Comet.
Because the presents go to me. Like, I work at, the presents go to me. I have to inventory them. And I look forward to just being like, you fucking people, you fucking people, you fucking people. There's 27 de Havilland Comets, and they all say, yay, Liam on them.
Sounds like a low-cost airline. Yay, Liam.
Peace through superior merriment.
Yeah. So speaking of models of the Comet, we have to talk about the construction of the Havilland Comet, right?
Oh, boy.
So de Havilland was, of course, not going to build this airliner out of wood, right?
It won the war.
Well,
That
much like
doesn't
Winston
mean-
Churchill, we were like, it won the war. Fuck off now, please.
Yeah, please. Yeah, you tossed away people at Gallipoli. No worries.
This doesn't mean they weren't influenced by their earlier wooden designs, right? This was going to be a composite aircraft.
What is that noise?
That's Milkshake.
Ah, fucking cat. Hi, Milkshake.
Hi, Milkshake.
Yeah, hi, Milkshake. He ran away.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah. Oh no, he's found something to play with. Hi, it's Justin. So this is a commercial for the podcast that you're already listening to. People are annoyed by these, so let me get to the point. We have this thing called Patreon, right? The deal is you give us $2 a month, and we give you an extra episode once a month. Sometimes it's a little inconsistent, but it's $2. You get what you pay for. It also gets you our full back catalog of bonus episodes, so you can learn about exciting topics like guns, pickup trucks, or pickup trucks with guns on them. The money we raise through Patreon goes to making sure that the only ad you hear on this podcast is this one. Anyway, that's something to consider if you have $2 to spare each month. Join at patreon.com/WTYP pod. Do it if you want. Or don't. It's your decision, and we respect that. Back to the show. Much of the aircraft was actually made of new plastics and polymers, various new lightweight alloys, fiberglasses, so on and so forth. Only the skin was entirely metal. Because this whole thing is sort of an experimental exercise in building this jet aircraft, this pressurized aircraft, so on and so forth. No one had built a pressurized cabin this big before. And to wring the maximum performance out of the aircraft, it had to be both extremely lightweight and extremely strong, which meant some new construction techniques. Also take into account you are bonding different materials to each other a lot of the time.
Okay.
So.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Listen, you can take the wood away, you can't take the glue away.
Yeah.
No, never.
Yeah. Oh, there's a bunch of welds and stuff because the airplane's made of metal. No, it's glue. It's all glue.
Saves weight. Saves weight.
You got a million different plastics, polymers, fiberglasses, metals, other materials. You need glue. Glue.
I maybe would bolt stuff together or weld stuff.
Nah, fuck that. Saves weight.
Yeah. Glue.
I mean, you don't get that beautiful, curvaceous airframe without just gluing shit together, right?
Yeah. So the glue used on this aircraft was called Redux, right?
Cool.
Which stands for Researched at Duxford.
Huh.
Okay.
Duxford is where the air bit of the Imperial War Museums are now.
Yes.
Ooh.
It's a good time.
And it's I didn't bother to look up how the chemistry works here.
Attaboy. Fuck it. You can figure it out yourself.
It's a phenyl formaldehyde resin, which imagine a bunch of benzene stuck together and randomly in 3D. And then it's like some kind of polyvinyl thing that's a separate part, and they come together. You put them in, and then you have to be cured at elevated temperatures and pressures for a long period of time. I have no fucking clue how they autoclaved a whole airplane, but apparently they did it.
Oh, two answers. One, either the biggest oven hanger in the world, or a bunch of guys with heat guns.
Yeah, it's probably actually the second one. Yeah,
I like the first one better. Just put it through the hot hanger.
The fun fact is, a lot of new airplanes are also built like this.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wait, so it's all glue?
There's a lot of glue involved.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of glue.
Airfix was telling me the truth all along.
Yeah, glue.
Huh.
Think about that the next time you're on a transatlantic flight and you're about I don't know.
Return to ocean liners.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
Yeah, 1,500 miles from land. Yeah, it's glue.
Well, clearly this is fine, right? Clearly this works because once again you're on the ETOPS thing. Engines turn or passengers swim.
Yeah.
Relatively few cases of you having to swim the Atlantic. So clearly the Blues Brothers grade marine epoxy that holds up.
Yeah, I mean, the glue is actually pretty good is the thing. That's what you ultimately have to admit. You know, you can come into this with a skeptical mind. You can say how can you put anything together with glue? And then you look at the airplane safety record and you're like, well,
Count the rings,
I guess it works.
Yeah.
Just like a really like a low rent Al Qaeda plot to like get on a
Yeah.
transatlantic plane with a heat gun.
Just trying to melt it, sir. Can you please return to your ship? 1 minute, please.
You have like a bunch of the like modeling debonder and you're just like throwing it around hoping the plane falls apart in midair.
What the hell is the wattage on the outlet on the plane? That's what I want to know.
Well, so too does the guy who's cooking shrimp in the bathroom.
Oh, that
I was
fucking
about- oh my
animal.
God. Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, you know, you got to think if you hooked up enough heat guns to the outlets, the engines wouldn't be able to provide enough power, and the plane would fall. Right? That's how that works, right?
We gotta have the kind of like MythBusters budget to test this stuff.
Yeah.
I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah, up those Patreon donations. Donations.
Yeah.
You just give us money to do whatever we want anyway.
This is basically like spiritually, that's what I want them to understand they are, so they stop complaining about bonus episodes.
Yeah, bring us the highest wattage electrical appliances you have. We'll put them on an airplane and see what happens.
Yeah, I fly American enough. I'm gonna test that out. That Oasis layout.
Sir, you can't bring the arc welder on the plane.
Look at the pretty blue light.
Look at the pretty blue light.
I mean, you kind of have this if you ever look at the terms and conditions on an airline's website or on the back of one of those signs. It's like, here's all the shit you can't bring on the plane. Don't say we didn't warn you. Some of it is just like, yeah, you can't bring your like. Obviously, you can't bring your loaded firearm. You can't bring your like live biological samples. You can't bring your arc welder. Just in case you had a nuclear weapon, you probably shouldn't bring that either.
Yeah, Roz.
If they didn't want to bring
Amtrak
me,
lets me travel with my basement nuke.
if they didn't want me bringing the arc welder onto the plane, why'd they put a Harbor Freight in the airport terminal?
That's a good question. Ask it the real questions.
It's airport Harbor Freight, almost as expensive as Home Depot. My God. So this glue is supplemented at many points with pop rivets, right? Especially around the windows is one location.
Why bother?
Yeah.
Just fucking glue it. Who gives a shit? This thing's going down in smoke anyway.
Yeah. Now, the Comet is engineered for the whole of the British Empire, which means it needed to cope with a wide variety of climates, and it needed to cope with those climates changing rapidly, right? Because you might have a flight in London to Karachi, although most likely that'd be London to Rome to Cairo to Karachi. I think maybe Bahrain you'd stop as well. We'll get to that later.
Either way, you're like sitting out on a tarmac for like 8 hours refueling.
Getting really, really hot and then going up in the air and getting really, really cold, right? So all these glued together parts still had to work cohesively as the plane expanded and contracted from thermal effects, right? It had to do this for several tens of thousands of times, all while it had to hold pressure. And the pressure changes, of course, because you pressurize, you depressurize, you pressurize, you depressurize. Before the plane reached the end of its lifespan, right? You have a lot of cyclical loading here. You know, and these loads aren't crazy heavy loads. They just happen lots and lots and lots of times.
Yeah, gotcha.
So,
she's a beaut.
She's so pretty.
Yeah.
The kind of plane that makes you want to use the she/her pronouns for it.
Yes. What kind of hormones do you need for that?
God damn it.
Estrogen.
Yeah.
Wood
Actually,
glue.
I sexually identify as a 1950s airliner.
I might start, to be honest.
Someone on Twitter already does. Don't worry.
Have a lot of like 1960s flight attendant looking women inside me.
God damn it. Yeah, that's pretty good though. That's pretty good.
Just remember, this episode's for the kids. Give them a de Havilland Comet.
Yeah. Hi, anyone I work with. Sorry, please don't fire me.
No way they're lasting this long. You're fine.
No. One of my coworkers is like, yeah, when you first started volunteering here, I listened to a couple episodes. It was pretty funny. I'm like, you don't need to lie to me.
Anytime I talk to anyone about this, like my tattoo artist or my driving instructor, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'll have to check that out." I'm like, We both know that you're lying about that, and I'm so grateful that you are, because if you like tell me the next time I see you, oh hey, great job with the de Havilland Comet, I'm running.
I'm jumping out a window. Yeah.
If that happens in a driving lesson, I just pop the door like at 20 and just like tuck and roll.
Right. Well, the thing is, hi mom, hi dad. They get all their friends to listen to it too, and my mom's like, oh, all my friends think your podcast is so funny. And it's just like, these are very serious people with very serious jobs. And I'm just here like, dick jokes, poop jokes, poop jokes.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? This episode's for the kids.
Yeah.
Very, very earnest discussions of making a children's Christmas because they didn't have anything before. And we're going to save Christmas for a bunch of people. Nestled in between jokes about Cup.
Yes. Much like Wu-Tang Clan, well, there's your problem is for the children.
Yeah. What's the no, you know what? It's fine. Keep it going.
So the Comet 1 was introduced in 1952 with some modifications from the original design.
This is gonna be stupid question, but what are the red things on the wing?
Engine covers. You gotta cover the engine to make sure that shit doesn't get into it.
Right.
So you don't like build a wasp's nest in there. Something which you can crash the plane with.
Yes.
The plane has a bunch of orifices for like engines and pitot tubes and stuff. And if stuff gets into them and blocks them, like ice or wasps or whatever the fuck, then it can be really bad. So you got to keep a little cover over them.
Yeah, you gotta deliver the plane with all holes filled.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway,
damn it. For the children.
The Comet 1 was introduced in 1952, but they had to make some modifications from the original design, right? The Rolls-Royce Avons weren't available yet. They were still in development.
Let's go.
Some things in this country remain the same.
Yeah. So
they
installed older de Havilland Ghost engines.
Oh boy.
Right?
Cool name.
Yeah.
Is it because it Ghost because it doesn't show up when you need it to?
No, that was the Avon. The Ghost was actually right there waiting.
I'm gonna fight you.
So in order to compensate for this, the already very light Comet 1 was therefore lightened further to lessen the performance hit.
I love aeronautics.
Yes.
I love aerodynamics. I love the plane that is so light and so beautiful that it's like cannot be handled except by the delicate touch of a lesbian. Fantastic.
You could probably lift this thing with 6 guys.
Just turn around like a Fiat.
Yeah. The launch customers were British Overseas Aerospace Corporation, Air France, and Union Aeromaritime de Transport.
Oh, okay. You killed that, buddy.
That's also French.
I like that France's aircraft industry was still fucked at this point, so we're making them buy British.
Yeah.
And how much did they resent that?
Oh, we painted Battle of Agincourt on the side of all these. You wanted that,
right? So here it is, looking very pretty on the tarmac.
Yeah.
Here's the cockpit. Yeah, look at that.
You know what? Switches.
You know what? That looks pretty in a different way. And to me, this contains a distinct, unmistakable transgender vibe, and I'm not sure how. It's very difficult to explain. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's very, very sleek, and on the outside, and then on the inside, it's like a bunch of almost Soviet-looking industrial controls. That are like really tactile. This is the autism powering me when the outside looks like the outside of the de Havilland. You know?
Yes, this is a very cool looking cockpit. And I mean, okay, it's this is back when you had a pilot, you had a co-pilot, you had a flight engineer, and you had a navigator.
I see the little navigator's table. The chairs, the shape of the chairs.
Yeah, it's because this is back before everyone got fat.
You'll get your corn subsidies and like it.
Yeah, exactly. I just added this picture in here. I don't have anything to say other than it looks cool.
It really does look cool. The visibility is for shit. Like really small window panes. But again, I like the way that looks. I think that's very pretty.
Presumably, since it's 1950, you have a pilot and a co-pilot, so that when you're not drinking martinis, the other guy can take over.
Yeah, one guy goes back to like sexually abuse the cabin crew, and the other guy keeps flying and drinking.
Look, we need this to stay calm and collected, okay?
Shoot it down.
The like mill MI8 style fans just poking out of the kind of like blanket roof upholstery.
Oh yeah, I love a fan you can stick your finger in and it gets chopped off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you know what I'm gonna do with your intake fans in your case that you probably don't clean?
So,
Ross.
anyway, the launch of the Comet is marred by a few early incidents. Right?
Beautiful BOAC livery here.
Yeah.
With the cheat line.
Yes, with the cheat line, yeah. So the first one was on the 26th of October, 1952. This is BOAC flight 115 from London to Johannesburg, right?
Mm.
And it made several stopovers, including Rome Ciampino International Airport. I think it's Ciampino. Is it Ciampino?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Let's stick with Ciampino then, because we're going to have to talk about it a couple more times.
Sort of like a European hub.
Yes, it was the big Rome airport. Now, it only had one runway, but it was the big Rome airport.
Mm.
As opposed to Leonardo da Vinci now, which is just a surreal space. So anyway, at Rome Ciampino International Airport, they were on takeoff, and they pulled the nose back, and they pulled a little bit back too far, and it went into something that was like a stall, right? They aborted the takeoff. The plane skidded to the end of the runway. The landing gear got taken off by a big mound of dirt, and they sort of came to a halt, right? And then this resulted in no fatalities, but they wrote off the aircraft.
Oh, so you just have like a cool, frightening time.
Yes. This was likely caused by pilot error, because one of the things was you were developing training programs for the first jet airliner. No one had flown this. Most people had not flown a jet airplane before this thing came out. So,
Nazis.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if you've flown like bombers in the war, which gives you like the best sort of flying time and like a sort of like size airframe, you're used to like, flying over, Munich or whatever while you try and create like an incendiary firestorm. And now you have like a jet aircraft that weighs nothing.
Mm-hmm. And on March 3rd, 1953, Canadian Pacific Airlines.
What?
Huh.
Yeah.
The railroad?
The railroad, yes.
Oh, God.
This is a train.
Canadian Pacific Airlines lasted surprisingly long. They had 747s and everything.
Huh.
They also had the cool Canadian Pacific multi-mark on the tail. They look really good. They're good looking. They're good looking planes.
But, it's hard to make a plane look bad when the plane is this, but even so, it looks really nice.
Yeah, so Canadian Pacific Airlines was doing a delivery flight. I think they were getting their first Comet. It was going to be called Empress of Hawaii. And this was due to fly a route between Sydney and Honolulu. So it was being delivered, but they still had a couple of paying passengers on. And they took off at Karachi Airport, which was another really big, important airport at the time. They took off. They rotated back too quick. They started to stall. And then they pitched back down and they couldn't stop it. And they went off the end of the runway, slid down an embankment into a drainage canal, killing 5 crew and 6 passengers. Yeah.
Hard plane to fly then, or hard plane to take off.
Yes. Canadian Pacific Airlines canceled their order for another aircraft at that point. There was also likely pilot error, but by this time it was clear this plane is just difficult to fly on takeoff, right? So de Havilland decides we're going to make some alterations. They adjust the wing profile so it's harder to stall, easier to control during takeoff. They make all these corrections. Everyone's happy. There's another Comet that crashes in a storm near Calcutta on May 2nd, 1953, but that's a sudden squall that appeared out of nowhere. And back then it was like, the plane crashed in weather. That's normal.
Yeah, for sure. That's like a single drop of rain has hit it. Fine. Write the whole thing off.
This is a quite nasty storm that appeared out of nowhere. So, So everyone's like, all right, this is a fine, safe airplane until
Oh god.
the big wrecks,
Oh
the
dear.
big inexplicable ones. One of
Support
these,
your local medical examiner. Die strangely.
yes, British Overseas Aerospace Corporation, Flight 781. I always forget which one. BOAC, Flight 781. They're flying from Singapore to London by way of Bangkok, Rangoon, Calcutta, Karachi, Bahrain, Beirut, and Rome.
Fuck all that. No, that's a lot
that
of
sounds.
B's.
I get scared having to take more than a direct flight because that's more than once in the scary tube that pitches up really hard. And you're expecting me to do what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 takeoffs in this thing.
Oh, it's people hadn't realized that planes are better when they don't make so many stops yet.
I guess so. And I guess the other thing too is it sounds like quite a nice itinerary if you imagine that you get to go to Rangoon or Beirut, but instead you just sit in the plane.
I don't know if I'd want to go to Bahrain.
Yeah. Or in the lobby in Karachi, drinking while they refuel the plane.
All right, hanging out in colonial
Rangoon.
Karachi, Yeah, a bunch of guys in khakis, hanging out.
Silly hats, yes.
Yeah, and you just talk about all the atrocities you did.
And I mean recent atrocities, because this is like early 50s, like partition is not even a decade past.
Oh yeah. So this plane was the first production Comet, and it takes off on its final leg from Rome Ciampino to London on the 10th of January 1954. It reaches altitude and it blows up.
Just blows up?
Just blows up.
Just
Jesus.
blows up.
And I mean,
Cool.
1954, terrorism hadn't been invented yet. I understand.
Yeah, they didn't have that. It was just called warfare back then.
It was just called the CIA, yeah.
Yeah. I barely had the CIA.
It's true.
They were still doing Gladio, don't worry.
Oh, this is true, yeah. So, this blows up. It killed everyone on board. There's no black box recorder at this time, right?
When did those get invented? Do we have a date on that?
That's a good question. One that I will Google right now. We do our research on this podcast.
Yeah, it's well, there's your problem, extended universe.
We're very, very highly researched podcast with original ideas. H-Bomber Guy, do not make a 4-hour video about us.
Please. We're for the children. Gareth has a family.
We're for the children. We're for the children. And Gareth has a family. Please, the fact that we turn Wikipedia articles into it's a transformative work. God, please.
Speaking of that, I was able to, with some money donated, buy 2 Lego Star Wars Boba Fett starships.
My God, maybe we make too much money. So it was first designed in 1939 by a guy called Francois Usinot, and he called it the Usinograph.
Of course he did.
Then it was independently invented in the UK during World War II, independently reinvented in 1942 in Finland, independently reinvented again in America in 1943, independently reinvented again in 1953 in Australia. Wow. How many fucking times do we have to invent this fucking thing?
It's just like the calculus.
The calculus.
Invented again in the US and patented in 1953. When did we? There is no answer. It seems like every dickhead in the world has invented this at one time or another.
I'm going
to say this now. I have invented the aircraft cockpit data recorder.
Yeah, and Reinhold Messner is from Zimbabwe.
That's right.
Yeah, when you think about it, the Amazon Electra is Amazon, not Electra. Electra is a Lockheed product. The Amazon Alexa is sort of a black box recorder.
The Amazon Electra is the home assistant that tries to fuck its dad.
Well, the Amazon Electra would be the Lockheed Electra was another competing aircraft to this.
Electra in Greek mythology is the Electra complex, kind of the female analog to Oedipus, because she fucked her dad. Shit is nasty.
That's weird that they have an aircraft called the Electra, but they don't have an aircraft called the Oedipus.
Yeah. There once was a man named Oedipus Rex. You may have heard of his odd complex.
Yes. So
I know Tom Blair songs too, asshole. We're for the children.
Initially, this was suspected to be a bomb that caused the explosion, right?
They hadn't invented that yet, though.
Yeah,
No,
but
they
it could have
had
been like some
bombs.
guy who was just out of the war who had just like brought his bomb on board for fun.
Initially, the popular suspicion was this was a bomb, right? But forensic investigation of the bodies proved something else. There was traumatic lung damage indicative of everyone's
They'd been
lungs.
Vaping.
Oh, no. Popcorn lung.
No, they'd been smoking. This was back when men were men. That's another thing you got to remember about the de Havilland Comet. You could smoke on this.
Yeah, full of cigarette smoke.
Yeah. So anyway, everyone's lungs had exploded.
Ew.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't happen to me. I don't.
The plane had clearly decompressed very rapidly, right? But the cause of the decompression was uncertain. Most of the aircraft was recovered by the Royal Navy because it was in bits and pieces and it, sort of ripped apart on contact with the ocean, right?
Very light,
but
just gases.
Yeah. The actual cause of the aircraft accident could not be determined. But eventually, de Havilland figured, okay, this was probably a thrown turbine blade, right? So they created a design for up-armoring the turbine housing to stop it from happening again. BOAC grounded their fleet until all the aircraft were retrofitted. All the aircraft were retrofitted. Problem solved, right?
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Oh, did it? Oh, no.
Until.
Oh, boy.
You're getting your money's worth. Like a lot of disasters for one episode.
Look at this old school Shelby P truck. This is pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Yeah.
The lettering on there. That's hand lettered too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's back when, you had to actually go up there and paint. You could paint your own font.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how to paint, Roz?
Do I know how to paint?
Yeah.
I can do watercolors, but I'm pretty rusty on it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I've shown you the watercolors I did on study abroad in college.
Oh, yes, you did. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have a drinking problem. That's fine. We're for the children.
Yeah. South African Airways Flight 201.
Spirit of alarmingly racist.
Yes. On 8th of April, 1954. They were using a leased BOAC Comet, and this flight would travel with intermediate stops from London to Johannesburg, which is a very popular route, apparently.
Yeah, I bet it is.
They took off from London, and they went to Rome Ciampino Airport.
The airport that kills de Havilland comets.
Yeah. They landed, and they were delayed a full 25 hours there for some light repair work.
Oh, fuck me. No. Get off the plane, dummies.
I mean, I hope they book you on the next plane and just everybody who was booked on this one missed it. But
who knows? I mean, back then it was like, okay, what's my alternative for getting to Johannesburg?
Swim real slow.
Yeah.
Take an ocean liner.
Take a steamer. Right, exactly.
It's
because enjoy 25 hours at Rome Airport.
Yeah, I was about to say Cecil Rhodes never finished Cape to Cairo Railroad, so this is
unspeakably drunk on my layover. Yeah,
this is your only option. So after being delayed for a full 25 hours at the airport, the plane took off from Rome Ciampino, and Rome Ciampino mulched another comet. It disintegrated over the ocean about 70 miles west of Naples.
Nipples?
No, Naples. As in, like, see Naples and die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Napoli.
Which I guess they did,
Yeah. Naples is very nice. I want to spend more time there sometime. I've only been there for like 6 hours. And I always go to the train museum.
Beautiful.
Very good train museum. Anyway, so the ocean was too deep here for a salvage operation, so it couldn't be conclusively determined what happened here.
I don't think the lead was that deep, was it?
Apparently in this location it was.
Huh.
They did not recover any of the wreckage of this one, to my knowledge.
And the one guy who like brought his bomb on the plane got away with it.
Sort of.
Well, no, at this point, it was starting to raise suspicion, like, okay, why did these two planes just disintegrate for no apparent reason?
Sure,
yeah.
Sure.
I assume they tried to figure out if the airport was malicious in some way, but eventually they had to move to scientific methods.
They put the plane in jail.
They put the plane in plane jail. Yes.
No, that does not look very aerodynamic.
Yeah, how do we figure out what went wrong with the plane? Is you build a huge fuck-off water tank and test it.
Huh.
This was the Cohen Committee, named for Lord Cohen, who I forgot to put his first name in the notes here. But essentially there was some suspicion that, okay, maybe there's some pressurization failures here. How do we find out if that is correct? Let's do full-scale testing.
Incredible.
Yeah. So BOAC donated a whole airframe to the committee, and they had what they called a water torture chamber built around the fuselage.
This being plane jail.
This is plane jail, yes. They let your wings stick out, but you're submerged.
Oh.
Yeah. The test procedure was very simple. The aircraft was filled with water and then submerged in water. The fuselage was then pressurized and then depressurized from 0 to 8.25 pounds per square inch over and over and over and over again. And it was observed by means of both mechanical stress gauges and something called an inverted periscope.
Cool.
Yeah, because normally when you use a periscope, you're under the water and the top of the periscope is above the water.
Periscope.
But in this case, it was inverted.
Periscope.
You use this telescope.
Telescope. So this was to, and they determined where and how stress fatigue affected the airframe. As cracks formed in the airframe, they were monitored very closely, but they only had one airplane to work with. So when it was determined that they were nearing catastrophic failure, they actually drained the tank and the airplane, went in and patched up the airplane.
Oh, magnificent.
Yeah. So they did 11,319 pressure cycles in the airplane jail.
That's not a lot for aircraft, is it? Like,
yeah, you got to think, if you're doing, you're doing these short hops, so you might be doing several pressure cycles a day. So it's not, it's probably a few years worth, but it's not like a huge amount, right?
yeah.
And this one had 747 pressure cycles applied to it when it was in service, which were counted towards that number. And they observed 9 cracks in total.
Oh, that's not so good.
There were 7 on the windows, 2 at the port forward escape hatch, and yeah.
What you got to do if you notice the crack opening before you, if you're on the Comet, what you got to do is you got to get your drill that you bought from the airport Harbor Freight in Rome, and you got to drill a hole at each end of the crack, which will instantly depressurize the aircraft and kill you, but will stop the crack from spreading.
Hold that thought to the next slide.
Jeez.
Oh no.
I hate when I anticipate shit so much.
So the investigator concluded that when the cracks were big enough to observe, they were already 90% of the way to catastrophic failure. When they were big enough to observe was when they were 1/4 of an inch long. And this was on an airframe which had no paint on it, so it was easier to look at the cracks, right? Once you had that crack, you had very rapid propagation afterwards, which was sometimes temporarily stopped from a rivet hole.
Huh.
Yeah.
Why don't they make the whole plane out of the rivet holes?
That's a good question.
Well,
no, it's not.
I know.
You wouldn't have a plane then.
You just have a kind of a flying colander.
Yeah. So these cracks usually propagated from.
Why don't they make the whole plane out of the rivet holes and it flashes up the like false correlation plane with all of the holes in it?
Yeah, I was about to say you wind up with a negative plane, like the anti-plane.
Yeah.
What happens when you hit an anti-plane with a plane?
It's just mirrored in block, dude.
Delays.
Yes. So almost all of these cracks propagated from rivet holes instead of from the edge of the windows, which is something that like is sort of in the popular conscious. We'll get to that.
Okay.
So if you had a crack that was from the outer row of rivets, it tended to propagate outwards, which was a big problem. But if it was from the inner row of rivets, it went inwards and then stopped.
Yeah, because it
at the
runs into
window.
another rivet hole or
Yeah.
the window.
There were some that propagated from one rivet hole to another, and then they stopped for a while. Yeah. So yeah, you see, this is a window corner here, which is a curve. This is an escape hatch corner here. That's another curve. You have the rivets shown here. This dotted line is the outline of the glue.
God.
Sweet gracious God.
Now, they did all these pressure cycles, and they tried to avoid doing a catastrophic failure just to make sure that they could figure out what was going on. Eventually, it did happen. Yeah, this is at the forward escape hatch after 11,246 cycles.
You have a kind of stable door effect where you can open the top and the bottom separately.
Yes. And so, obviously, we have sort of a root cause here. We can see that the airframe is failing a lot sooner than it should. What is the cause, though? And this is something called stress concentrations, right? So if you have materials under stress, they don't like sharp corners.
You should make it less rigid and have fewer right angles.
Yeah. It's good to have curves.
I personally feel this also.
I agree.
Yes.
Yes.
So under loading conditions, stress tends to build up in sharp corners.
We built an airplane that's like feminine but not curvy enough. We built a twink plane.
Yeah. And so this could sort of increase loads on specific parts of a part very significantly, right? So
the twink plane is suffering from like too intense loads.
Yeah.
This is for the kids.
Sorry.
What you're sort of looking at here is we're looking at stress lines here, right? And these are sort of a way to illustrate how force is distributed. I forget where I got this from, so I don't know how to credit it. H-Bomber Guy, do not make a video about us.
Listen, if nothing else, we could, glass houses about making 4-hour videos.
Yeah. So you can sort of see this is a way to visualize how loads flow. You can see these lines get much closer around this corner, right? So you have an increase in stress around here. And what that means is even though the actual load here is whatever, right here in this specific location, it's 3 times whatever. And you can actually reduce this load just by changing the shape of the material or the part. Not even necessarily by adding material. You can remove material and make a part stronger just by changing the shape. So yeah, stress concentrations are bad. Now on the Comet, this was particularly bad because of how the rivets were designed. They were countersunk, right? So they're flush with the fuselage. You can see here, this is a cross section of a countersunk hole, right? A lot of times you do this for screws so that they're flush with a surface. This is not bad in and of itself if it's done right. But when they put the rivets in, they did not drill the holes. They punched the holes. So there were like little flakes of metal in there. There's all kinds of these little places where you could, you could opportunistically start a crack propagating from an existing little metal flake, right? These stress concentrations were greatly exaggerated by just the methodology here. The other thing they did, let's go back 2 slides here. This redux joint, the glue, I decided they didn't need it around the windows.
They forgot to put the glue on the glue plane.
They didn't put the glue on, no.
God damn it, dude.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
If nothing else, I want them to use like an excess of glue. Like I want the plane to be like sticky to the touch.
Right.
Yes. I just didn't use the glue. It was apparently probably fine. Turns out it was not fine. Yeah, so all these reinforcing panels around the windows and other holes in the fuselage were supposed to be glued on there. Instead, they were just riveted. So in these areas where they expected stress concentration, the material was
rather than stronger.
It was weaker instead of stronger. Yes, and they had a lot of flaws.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a lot of extra stress there where there should not have been. Now, simultaneous to these experiments being carried out, they had reconstructed most of BOAC Flight 781. They still hadn't found the smoking gun that correlated the committee's findings.
It's always cool when you took these like pieces of wreckage and reassembled them over the thing. That to me is cool.
Oh, those big fuck off hangers they have for this.
Yeah, like the world's biggest and grimmest jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sending the kids at Lutheran Sullivan House the world's biggest and grimmest jigsaw puzzle.
Thank you.
Oh wow, we sent the kids. Yeah, we send the kids a real de Havilland Comet. So then an Italian fishing boat picked up the
They're allowed to have those under the terms of like the post-war settlement.
An Italian fishing boat picked up the forward roof of the aircraft, including the panel for the automatic direction finding equipment, which is a sort of radar thing. I don't remember what that is.
Early autopilot stuff, probably.
So you could see this is an opening up here. You can see how the crack propagated from here and from up there. And it turned out...
Well, imagine that being your window.
It's not. It's on the top of the airplane.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. It's an opening, but it's not an opening that has glass in it. It has other crap in it.
Yeah.
as some automatic direction finding crap in it. Yeah. So
big spinny antenna thing.
Exactly. You could see the fatigue failure. It all added up. This was metal fatigue that was greatly accelerated by the fact the plane was a little bit too lightly built.
All originating from the antenna that they also put on the plane to detect TV license evaders.
Yes. And so this is determined to be the cause of the problem, is that the stress concentrations and the metal fatigue that happens very quickly. Now, what sort of lodges in the popular conscious is something else entirely, which is square windows.
Perfect little echo on that. I will not have the most beloved member of this podcast slandered.
Yes.
Activate Windows logo has done nothing wrong.
A friend to us all, truly.
Yeah, yes. No, but this is the thing that I thought this was gonna be going in, which is when you noted the square windows, I'm like, oh damn, square windows. That makes them much more vulnerable to like stress at the corners, surely.
And it does, but you can engineer for that, right? A lot of folks say the problem with Comet 1 was the square windows, as evidenced by the fact that the next iteration of the aircraft had round ones. And this is not entirely true. The next iteration of the aircraft also had several square openings, including the ones that failed in the first version.
Okay, we've made an upgrade. We've changed nothing.
We've made it worse. No, we've done nothing at all, I suppose.
But all this stuff, they have rounded corners. All that's reinforced appropriately, right?
When you remember to put the glue on.
Yeah, the main cause for rounding the windows was to cut down on the number of rivets so they could use the glue instead.
Which they then didn't do.
Well, on the Comet 4, they used the glue.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So, the next version of the aircraft, they used the glue. This one, they're like, maybe we can get away with not using glue. Turns out you need the glue.
Whoa.
And so, the modern aircraft also have a lot of square openings on them. Like, let's say the big door you bring the luggage in on. It's not the squareness of the windows that's the problem. It's how you build them. I mean, you look at like these sorts of high performance pressurized environments, like say the International Space Station, that has square windows.
Well, for now.
Well, yeah.
There's a right-wing conspiracy theory that one of the NASA astronauts like tried to sabotage the station by drilling through a bit of the thing because she's a woman.
Well, she was probably trying to stop a crack. She saved the International Space Station.
Very good.
Yeah.
No, so you're telling me we could go back to the like square aesthetic windows anytime we wanted?
Yes.
God damn it! Why don't we
Sort
do
of.
that? I want like a sort of a really retro, like multi-pane aircraft window. You know?
I'm not technical enough to answer that question. I think that de Havilland Comet windows actually weren't that big. But but they were probably bigger than a lot of aircraft windows today.
Yeah, you get a small window now.
Aircraft windows, I think, in general, leave a lot to be desired. It's kind of, I don't know. I think the main thing is, you're going to be stuck in the middle row, 500 miles away from the window anyway. Why bother?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like looking out of the window. I find it relaxing. But on the other hand, if you just do as the airline industry clearly wants to do and just give me no windows and just go, okay, you are in a P3A Poseidon. We've painted it like flat gray. You have no windows. Eat shit. Fine. Good.
Yeah, give everyone like submarine style bunks.
Yeah, or the canvas netting off the back of like a Galaxy or a Hercules.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the square windows weren't the problem. It's fine to have square windows in planes. Planes have lots of square openings, as long as they're rounded off in the corners, obviously, which they were on the Comet.
Why can't we fuck around and have like triangular windows? That's the way of the future, the rounded triangle.
You have like some kind of like I don't know. You're starting to design like the Zaha Hadid plane.
I don't it's only a matter of time before like Saudi or like Emirates.
Don't give them idea.
Yeah, tessellating triangular windows where it's like one up, one down.
Believe the House of Saud bought the first private jet, which was a de Havilland Comet 4.
Huh.
Yeah.
That tracks.
So, what's the end result here?
Well, you know what? It's still beautiful.
Yeah, it still looks good. All the Comet 1s were grounded. All the Comet 2s, which I believe there are only a couple of, they were grounded. De Havilland had to come up with a new thing, which was the Comet 3. The prototype flew in like late 54, did not enter service until 1958, and most airlines had canceled their orders for them at that time because they wanted the bigger and bolder Comet 4. Which you can see here in Malaysia Singapore Airlines, which seems like a short flight. So with the Comet 4, which was much improved, you can see they have the round windows here. It had thicker gauge outer walls. It did not have the same metal fatigue problems. It was a much improved aircraft, and it had the proper big Rolls-Royce engines, so it could go farther and faster.
Nice.
BOAC became the first airline to provide non-stop transatlantic service, but only eastbound.
Yeah, westbound you have to stop in, I guess, Gander.
Yes, you did have to stop in Gander. But the time and effort that were taken to develop the new, safer Comet meant that Boeing and Douglas had time to eat de Havilland's lunch with the 707 and DC-8 respectively.
Yeah. I mean, I like a DC-8 not as much as I like a DC-10. But you only get to make like one or two mistakes in this business at this time, and we ended up with a set of airliners with a much less interesting visual language, which is a great shame.
Yeah, and one of the things that privately the executives of both of those companies were like, well, if de Havilland hadn't fucked up this way, we probably would have.
Yeah, because you're used to designing for, in the same ways that de Havilland were.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. But the 707 and the DC-8 were, after the incident, designed to be much heavier with thicker gauge materials, so you wouldn't have the same metal fatigue issues. De Havilland itself, they never really recovered. They were bought by Hawker Siddeley in 1960. They were fully folded into that company in 1963. The name lives on in the form of de Havilland Canada, which was, I think, acquired by Bombardier in 1992. And they made a wide variety of these sort of small but very rugged passenger prop planes.
Yeah, the DHC-2 Beaver, for instance.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful aircraft.
The twin otter.
Yeah.
It's like two otters flying together. Yeah.
all of the like bush planes. Big fan. Just anything with the de Havilland name on it, I'm very, very attached to aesthetically.
Oh, yeah. They're all very, very nice looking.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the story of the de Havilland Comet.
Everybody else got it wrong. Everyone who talked about the windows, we have debunked this.
We've done
it, and by
loved by children everywhere.
Yes. Well, we've said, yeah, we're about to make it so that we're going to teach them that this is a misunderstood aircraft, and we're going to teach them that like we're going to do a big like YouTube bait thumbnail that's like Windows falsely implicated ?
Oh yeah, I'm going to AI generate it.
Oh Jesus
Christ on sale.
What did we learn?
Return with a V and go back with a time machine and tell them to fix it, and
exactly.
we would be living in a much better Britain ?
Yeah,
maybe
you'd have the Boeing of Britain. It'd be de Havilland.
Yeah,
we'd have more interesting aircraft.
We would.
Hopefully
you could still have a bar on board.
Yeah. Well, we have a segment on this podcast called Safety Third.
Shake hands with danger.
Fantastic picture already.
Yeah. Hello, activate Windows logo, Devin, and lesser hosts. This week's Safety Third is from my time a fair few years ago aboard a mine hunter we'll call the HMS Redacted.
I'm saluting with my palm down.
I believe that was in Gilbert and Sullivan operetta. I was a new sub-lieutenant. Get your sub jokes out of the way now.
They're gonna get your ass for saying lieutenant instead of lieutenant.
Oh, lieutenant, right? I have to. I think, yeah, exactly. Okay, I gotta get myself in British mindset now.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's been an all Brit episode.
Yeah. The broad strokes of our normal operations, but then we have
Cuomo.
The broad strokes of our normal operations, where you have a couple of ABs. I don't know what that is.
Oh, able seaman.
Able Seamans, staring at a sonar screen for hours on end, looking for anomalies. Once an anomaly that was sussy enough to be a mine was detected.
What?
We had more or less two options. Either we send
the Royal Naval officers that I expected to talk like hornblower officers are saying that mines are sussy.
Yes. Either we send a diver down to physically inspect the mine, or we use a little underwater drone.
Cool.
On this occasion, we decided for various reasons to send down the drone, which comes in a few different variants. We had a training vehicle used for training, a survey vehicle used to look at the things we reckoned were mines, to give them the old ocular pat-down, and both of those were reusable, so we're always keen to make sure we can use these as much as possible. The final type is an explosive underwater drone that we basically drive up to the mine and kablamo. The mine is successfully disposed of, and the remnants of the drone simply join the millions of tons of other rubbish, including the submarine service, littering our oceans. One fateful day, while hunting for mines in the Persian Gulf, the bored able seamans noticed an anomaly, raised it with the PO,
the
petty officer who ran the drones, but who will hereafter be called POI test.
Oh boy.
Okay.
After identifying it as officially sus by sonar, we were ready to send out a survey vehicle to give it a look. After hucking the survey vehicle over the side like a used car battery...
I gotta join the Navy, man.
Yeah. Imagine something like this, but orange.
Yeah.
The PO got to work And soon enough, he had closed in on what looked like a single 1,000-pound bomb, likely left over from the Iran-Iraq War. But honestly, it's the Persian Gulf, so it could have been from more or less any time.
The most lost American, like, Air National Guard pilot, just, like, letting it bark over the Persian Gulf.
POI test saw a single live 1,000-pound bomb, and in collaboration with the MWO, the Mine Warfare Officer, thank you for explaining that acronym.
Only that one, though.
Yeah, only that one.
Because they knew that you had me on.
Yeah. They decided it was time to move to disposal, and the survey vehicle was recovered. An explosive drone was then popped into the sea for the last time ever, and finally, after all was ready, POI test hit the button. The only problem was that the explosion that resulted wasn't exactly proportionate to a single 1,000-pound bomb going off. Everyone immediately knew that someone had fucked up somewhere. As it turned out, POI test did really live up to his name, as there was not a single 1,000-pound bomb, but 7 of the fuckers.
Oh, no.
Just like some Iraqi Navy guy in like the late 80s just kicking 7 bombs off the deck of a ship and being like, well, never going to see those again.
Yep, done my job. Yeah, we placed them strategically. The resulting explosion busted every single shock absorber on the ship. Those are used for loads of pieces of sensitive electrical and mechanical equipment to protect them from the shocks of the ship rolling while in high seas. It tipped 2 people out of their racks and nearly had me eating shit up on the bridge if it weren't for the help of my fellow watchkeeper making sure I didn't fall all the way across the bridge.
Incredible.
The moral of the story is that the ocular pat-down, though an important part of military tactics, should perhaps not be the be-all and end-all of mine-hunting operations. And that able rates are to the Royal Navy what freshmen are to the American education system.
Oh, boy.
This is what happened once you start ending press ganging. As soon as they're there voluntarily, it stops having the same, like, je ne sais quoi.
I've since moved on to bigger and better things in the Navy, but love your podcast a lot and has helped me through some fucking shit over the last couple years.
Thank you.
Keep it up, folks. Yours, Lieutenant Redacted, RN.
Thank you for your service. Yeah. Blowing up a shitload of disused Iraqi 1,000-pound bombs.
We have a PS to this. As an ancillary to this, HMS Redacted was then forced to limp back to port without the use of a lot of sensitive navigation gear, which was a hell of a task, and replacing all of the shock absorbers took several months because those aren't the kind of things that you keep in stock big enough numbers to replace all of them on a ship.
I think a lot about any military organization is one of the few places where you have that much equipment that is that difficult and that expensive to replace in the hands of the 19-year-old.
Yeah,
and I think the comedy potential of that is really unmatched in any other industry.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, this has been known since Gilbert and Sullivan.
Oh yeah.
God damn it,
Well, stay close to your desk and never go to sea, and you all may be rulers of the Queen's Navy. Well, that was safety third.
Handle, reef, or steer. I don't even remember how the rest of it goes. Thanks.
Yeah.
Shake hands with danger.
All right, that was a fun one. Our next episode will be on Chernobyl. Does anyone have any commercials before we go?
We're going to do it again.
Sullivan House.
Lutheran Settlement.
I've been saying Sullivan the whole time. So I've just some random Irish guy I've just attached to this fucking thing.
It's Louis Sullivan House. If you like big Sullivan-esque skyscrapers.
I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm gonna fucking piss in your mouth. I'm gonna shit in the hole that used to be your fucking chest cavity.
You ever thought about the tall building artistically considered?
I'm navigating here to 1/144 scale Airfix de Havilland Comet 4B model kit, $29.95, surprisingly reasonable. I'm going to add that to cart and I'm going to send that to you, Liam.
Thank you. In all seriousness, Lutheran Settlement House, lutheransettlement.org. If you want to mail toys, we will put the description in the video. We'll put it in the description for the video. And if you want to mail gift cards, R Walker WALKER at lshphilly.org. I can't speak or spell. The caffeine's wearing off. Thanks for everyone who's donated or given us shit so far. I know the kids will appreciate it. I know the homeless families we help will love it. So thank you very much, and all the children who are in therapy as witnesses of domestic violence. Thank you.
Oh, thanks so much, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. That was an episode.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.